Morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay, so for everyone behind these the plexiglass, I encourage you to be really loud because I was not hearing you very well, Fernando. And we're okay not having our masks within the plexiglass, I believe. I mean, I think as a general rule, we should and will adhere to mask guidelines, and as everyone knows, the county has new rules, but or will be as of Saturday, and we do expect not the general public, but staff to wear masks. But welcome. It's you all literally seem to be jumping out of your skins, but personally, I'm very excited to be in here, and it's great to see humans. Just humans. It's great to see y'all in here. This is really nice, even through all the plexiglass, which is intense. So welcome to the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works meeting for Friday, July 16th, 2021. Great to see you, Commissioner Garcia, or Vice President Garcia, Commissioner Calosa, Commissioner Villegas, Ted Jordan, Dr. Campos. Dr. Campos, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, Commissioner Calosa, and Commissioner Villegas. President Good, you do have a quorum at this time. We're also joined today by our City Attorney, Mr. Ted Jordan, and I should probably allow him to introduce himself, but I'm so used to doing it for him for the last year, so our attorney is here. Oh, green light. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Mr. President, at this time we do have one member from the general public under general public comment. We also have two speakers under item number 2, no other speakers on any of the other items. So again, 2 speakers for item 2 and 1 speaker for general public comment.
All right, we'll get started. As I mentioned in Wednesday's meeting, I would just ask, and particularly for all you folks from the departments who are here, which we really appreciate, ask your patience. This is our first time to do this. Don't hesitate to say or communicate somehow with us if you're not hearing well. And again, just bear with us. I will guarantee hiccups. There will absolutely be hiccups to this meeting. But the agenda is pretty short, so I think we'll still be able to get through pretty efficiently, and we really appreciate you being here. I say that also to the members of the public who are on the line. Please also be patient. We will certainly adhere to all of our Brown Act requirements. We're committed to it, care about it, and are on it. But please also bear with us as there will, again, invariably be some hiccups. Same with Bureau reps who are on as well. So with that, let's take the minutes from Wednesday, June 23, 2021. I will motion to approve. Do I have a second? Thank you. I've got a second from Commissioner Calosa. Any objections? Anyone else? All right. The minutes from Wednesday, June 23, 2021 are adopted and approved forthwith. Let's go now, Dr. Campos, to general public comment.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Public Works is now considering public comments for today's Friday, July 16th. We have one caller on the line, caller ending in 631. Caller ending in 631. If you can please press *6 to unmute your microphone. You will have 2 minutes to speak under general public comment. Please go ahead.
Hi, Joanne D'Antonio, CFAC and Chair of the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance Trees Committee. On July 2nd, after Rachel Malarich's report, President Good encouraged the participation of neighborhood councils and council offices in tree removal hearings. As you know, there was comment from a neighborhood council regarding the metro tree removals downtown at your hearing Wednesday. I was contacted by that neighborhood council and encouraged their participation, though I did not actually offer any suggestions beyond encouraging them to have metro at their meeting. The impact of their request, when all was said and done, was simply that Metro was able to check the box that they had presented and consulted at the neighborhood council. If everything was non-negotiable, as we saw in the hearing, why did we waste the time of this volunteer neighborhood council? In analyzing the request, one was really striking in its doability and importance, and that was watering beyond 3 years. When Hector said UFD would take over in 3 years, all he indicated was pruning. I have a 7-year-old street tree in front of my house that I still have to water in the heat of summer or risk its drying out. If Metro is going to destroy street trees, which are public property, to build their subway, they should not get out of the responsibility by just adding a 3rd year of watering and walking away. The neighborhood council was being responsible. Yes, they weighed in late, but projects that come to neighborhood councils early do not generally bring the details of maintenance. Furthermore, there is a council file right now that would make most projects ministerial and not even come before the neighborhood councils. There's a lot of frustration over trees and tree maintenance all over the city. The situation is improving somewhat, but it is not there yet. The summers are getting hotter and drier, and we have to hold anyone who removes a public property street tree accountable and insist they find the money to fund summer watering beyond 3 years. Tim Tyson, past UFD Chief Forester, indicated to CFAC that trees planted by urban forestry would have 5 years of watering or even more if needed to keep the trees alive. We're watching if this takes place, but we should certainly hold those whom we permit to destroy our valuable street trees accountable to the same commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio.
Mr. President, that clears the queue for general public comment. We will go ahead and close that segment out.
Okay. Thank you. Let's first order of business. I'm going to move to continue item number 1, and I think Dr. Campos already alerted everyone to that. So we'll continue. Date to be determined. Any objections, anyone? Okay. That brings us now to item 2. So item 2, tree removal, 859 through 861 North Detroit Street at West Willoughby Avenue. Recommending the board, 1, find that the project and tree removals are categorically exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 32. Projects that consist of construction of limited numbers of new small facilities or structures, including projects involving less than 35 dwelling units of the City of Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act Guidelines, 2002. 2, review and deny the request to remove 3 Canary Island date palms for required street widening, or 3, concur with the Bureau of Street Services determination that the site cannot feasibly accommodate all of the required replacement trees, and pursuant to LAMC 62.177C, authorize the tree replacement guarantee fee to satisfy the board's tree planting requirement. I know we have a couple of callers on this item. And I'm assuming Mr. Banuelos is here to present. Why don't we start with our callers first?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. Caller ending in 631. Caller ending in 631. The board is now considering item number 2. You have 2 minutes to speak under this item. Can you please unmute your microphone by pressing *6? There you go.
This is Joanne D'Antonio, CFAC. Very short comment today. We live in an era of encouraging road diets, yet we have an outdated mandatory street widening that has to be considered on a case-by-case basis. I support UFD's denial of this tree removal as it deprives birds of habitat, and these Canary Island palms provide iconic aesthetic value and shade. Palms are very expensive to buy. Let's not cut these down. This street won't have trees if we allow it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio. We'll move on to the next caller. Caller ending in 273. Caller ending in 273. The board is now considering item number 2. Please go ahead and unmute your microphone by pressing *6. You will have 2 minutes to speak under this item.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Jacob Cohen. I am one of the owners and the project developers for this project on the corner of the Detroit and Willoughby. It has always been, we always thought that these trees should remain. Even 3 years ago, when we received our approvals or our planning approvals. I've been working with Hector and Adrian on this issue. It took us 2 years to receive our approval on widening the street. I didn't know that there was going to be an issue removing the trees, even though I was sad to see them go. After 2 years, we obtained our approvals for widening the street. And then when we met with our inspector, he said, well, how are you going to address these trees? And I said, well, what do you mean? We're widening the street. They have to go. You know, it's unfortunate. And he said, well, you need a tree removal permit. So 2 years later, now we're starting this process of finding out if these trees need to stay or go. We want the trees to stay. They're beautiful. They're mature. They're tall. There's no benefit to anyone on that street to widen just this lot when every other lot on Willoughby or Detroit have not been widened. So we support not having the trees removed, and we would ask if anything can be done to facilitate or expedite this. We've got a project that is complete, ready to be occupied, but we can't get our sign-offs because we haven't addressed this condition as far as the street widening goes. And I noticed in item number 2, number 3, there's something about authorizing the tree replacement guarantee fee to satisfy the board's tree planting requirement. If that's a fee that the developer has to pay, I would like to know what it is and how much it would be. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio. Appreciate the comment. Let's go ahead and let's hear the report. Mr. Benuelos, in the flesh.
Hey, don't recognize this place hardly. Hey, good morning, President Good, Commissioners. It's been a while. Glad to be here again, almost. So, what we have before us is a request for the board is actually Streets LA is requesting that the board deny a request to remove 3 Canary Island date palms at 829 North Detroit Street at the southwest corner of Willoughby Street in Council District 5. As the applicant here is constructing a 10-unit, 3-story small lot subdivision here on 2 lots, and as a requirement to construct, the developer is required to widen the street pursuant to the city Department of City Planning and recommendations by the Bureau of Engineering. They're going to widen both streets on Detroit and Willoughby from 15 feet to 18 feet, half roadways. When we went out and inspected the site, we observed that there are actually 2 trees in front of Detroit, which include one small, relatively young London plane tree and one large 36-inch diameter by about 55 feet high Canary Island date palm. And on the Willoughby side, there are 2 Canary Island date palms of the same size and one about an 8-inch diameter by about 20 feet or 25 feet jacaranda tree. All the trees are healthy, and the younger trees are maturing, come along nice. We're requesting that the board allow the Streets LA, or concur with Streets LA recommendation to deny this request so that the applicant can work with the Bureau of Engineering and the Department of City Planning. So work out to modify the conditions through the entitlements, whereas they'll perhaps waive the condition for street widening so that the trees can remain in place and provide the benefits that they provide. The Council District Office 5 was notified and is in support of our recommendation to deny this request. We're Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and the Community Forestry Advisory Committee were also advised of this tree removal permit request. So we're asking that the board approve this request to deny this request so we can then notify Bureau of Engineering and the applicant so that they can work with the Department of City Planning and modify the conditions. That concludes my report. I'm here to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Benuelos, and it's really good to see you. Let's, I'd like to entertain questions and comments from colleagues, and I can't see your lights. Vice President Garcia, any questions?
So, Hector, just help me understand this. If we deny this, we approve with your recommendation to deny this request, you will go back to Bureau of Engineering and City of Planning to make sure that they keep the palm trees there? I just want to clarify what this denial would mean.
Yes, the request, when we come to your board and ask for the board to approve the denial,
Yeah.
it starts the process that was established back in about 2008, I believe it was, or regarding the protocols and criteria for these type of requests. We will notify the Bureau of Engineering. We usually send a memo out to the Bureau of Engineering requesting that they work with the applicant. So the applicant then work with the Department of City Planning to modify the condition and possibly waive the conditional street widening.
Okay. Did the developer were they told to widen the street when they did their design, or did this street widening come after the
Through
project?
the entitlements, the recommendation was from Bureau of Engineering to widen the street. And so the Department of City Planning then implemented it as a condition for the developer to construct.
Understood. Okay. But the developer in his comments said that he wanted to keep those palm trees, right?
Yeah, apparently, yes.
Okay. I'm going to I'm going to yield for now. I just want to let my colleagues put more context into this and then help me understand exactly what we're doing or not doing, in other words.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Calosa?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Benuelos. Thank you to the callers for dialing in, and thank you to the applicant, Mr. Cohen. I think I heard. I don't have any questions necessarily. Been briefed on this item by the Bureau of Engineering, but I guess the only thing I request and ask from Streets LA and Planning and BOE is figuring out how we can better coordinate and catch some of these before putting applicants through a 2-year process only to deny a tree removal that we actually require them to do within the same department. And so that's would be my comment. I know these things there's a lot of work involved and we all see different pieces of the puzzle at different times, but I'm not sure what would be needed from our end to make sure that we're better about making sure that we give a clear process to the applicant for future developments like this.
Yes, there's a lot of moving parts within all these developments, right, through the entitlements. And we are communicating better, I think, with the Department of City Planning and with the Bureau of Engineering and trying to get ahead of the line and trying to see where we have potential to keep trees in place as opposed and advise the applicants in all fairness, right, that they know either they're going to remove the trees or not. And we'd rather keep the mature trees. But we've been working with city departments and trying to get notice of these projects when they're coming about prior to all the conditions being set in place.
Right, no, and I appreciate that. And, the determination of what you're recommending ultimately sounds like it's what everyone wanted 2 years ago anyway. Just putting them through that process is hopefully something we can avoid in the future. And I know there's other conversations happening right now around widenings in general, so maybe it just begs the question of whether or not we need to take a fine-tooth comb to look at additional projects that maybe we can spare somebody a few months or years of their time if we can come to an agreement at looking at them now. That said, I appreciate the city team's work on this and coming to a determination that allows us to save these trees, because it sounds like that's what everyone wanted. So thank you, Mr. Benuelos, and I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. And thanks for your comments, Commissioner Calosa. That is the crux of this problem that we have within the city in terms of coordination. Tree removals are the last permit that's granted before construction starts. And this has been extremely problematic for Streets LA because they are not brought in early on in the process. And the applicant is the one that suffers. So it is a problem that we recognize and that planning recognize and also that BOE recognizes. And so we're trying to, when you know better, you do better. And we're going through that now. And that said, I think that I actually do have a question for Mr. Bañuelos. If we waive the requirement of expanding the sidewalk, are we setting precedent, or how is that going to be handled for future exemptions?
You mean waiving the street widening, correct?
Yes, the street widening.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, it may set a precedence, because we still have a lot of cases most likely already in the works, already been approved, and we're probably going to see more of these come about. I know we're going to see a few more coming about. But we also evaluate the health and condition of the trees as well. So when we see large, mature, healthy trees, we'd like to preserve them in place, and therefore we're going to be coming to the board, making the recommendation to keep the trees in place. But when they're larger trees and maybe perhaps senescent and they have structural problems, defective, or poor health, then we're probably going to come before the board and ask that the request be approved for removals. But it's, like I said, we always look at, with several things come into play, what we're considering before we do prepare and come to the board for recommendations. And yeah, it may set a precedence, perhaps on future cases where there are healthy, mature trees. And so we have to kind of deal with them, I guess, one by one. That's all I can say for now.
Okay. Thank you for that response. And, I know that we have done like a comparative study with other jurisdictions in California to see what they do to save trees. And there's always a build around or a possibility to request, the developer to do either like a redesign or some form of a mechanism that establishes the keeping of a tree. So, I think that, we're trying to increase urban forestry, and we're asking, the public to join us in that effort. So this is part of that. I don't have any further questions. I just know that this is, something that we just take really seriously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. I think everybody asked the questions I have. So, I mean, basically, BOE had the requirement for the widening. Then planning put it into their approvals based on BOE's requirement.
Based on BOE's recommendations, Department of City Planning placed it as a condition.
Okay. Okay. And the plan is upon if the board denies, or no, if the board denies the permit, then the developer will go back to, and y'all will go back to BOE to ask for their waiver, their agreement to waive that condition.
Yeah, they'll be going back to the Bureau of Engineering and the Department of City Planning.
Department of City Planning.
You have to modify the conditions.
Okay. Okay. Is BOE and planning aware?
Yes, they are aware. I've been in communication with Bureau of Engineering, and I guess they have no objections to our request, knowing that it's going to keep trees in place. I'm not sure if they like it or not, but it's just the way things played out. We want to try to keep healthy, mature trees in place. And so, yeah, they didn't have any objections to our request.
Okay. Any other? Oh, wait, what?
I was just saying, if you have any questions, Mr. Tangieri from the Bureau of Engineering worked on it and is here.
That's great.
Virtually.
Actually, Mr. Tangieri, would you have anything to offer on this or add?
No, I think everything was stated, that Bureau of Engineering sends recommendations to city planning for dedication and improvements, and then planning sets the conditions for the track map and the project. So based on the planning's conditions to do the widening and dedication, we worked with the developer to approve the street widening plans, which I believe the caller talked about. And the Bureau of Engineering does not have a position one way or the other about the trees. If the board decides to approve the denial of the tree removal, we will not require any improvements. Well, actually, I'm sorry. If the board approves the denial of the tree removal, we'll work with the developer to go back to city planning to have their conditions modified to remove that condition of street widening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tenjeri. Okay, any other questions, colleagues, or comments? No? So I will note that whatever is determined, we will need to amend because we basically have conflicting recommendations with two or three. Do I have so I'm going to introduce a motion to amend, or I will motion to approve, sorry, everybody. I'm going to motion to approve the recommendation to deny with the amendment to eliminate recommendation 3.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing because we're asking them to pay a fee when they're not going to, and BOE is going to, at least our actions are going to go back to BOE.
Right.
To deny the expansion of the street widening. Yeah.
Right. Mr. Jordan makes the observation that if we are denying the request to move the trees, then recommendation 1 is also moot because there's no need for CEQA findings. Right? Okay, so I'm going to, Dr. Campos, please strike my my opening motion, and I will motion to move the item forward with as amended to strike recommendations 1 and 2, or excuse me, 1 and 3.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will note that as a motion to deny the request to remove the 3 Canary Island date palms and to strike out recommendation number 1 and strike out recommendation number 3. And that's as amended. And we have one motion.
Do I have a second from Commissioner Villegas?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Villegas.
Any other questions, folks? No? Okay. Any objections? Okay. So the item as amended is approved and adopted forthwith.
Thank you. Yeah. We just, I know it was 2 years, but we did really save the trees and then save the developer from having to widen the.
That's right. And what's the developer's name again? Is he still on?
Hi, Jacob Cohen here.
Hey, thank you. And sorry for your journey, but congratulations on your project. And good luck working with the other departments. Thank you very much, and thanks for being here, okay? Appreciate it.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly echo what one of the board members had mentioned. I mean, it's unfortunate that we had to spend 2 years, meaning resources of a civil engineer, resources of the city engineer, to approve the street widening plan, pay a permit fee, pull the permit, and then have to start this process of whether or not these trees stay or they're removed. I mean, this could have very easily have been reviewed 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and say that, hey, these trees can't go or they have to go, and then we wouldn't have to go through this, because now we're going to exhaust even more resources and city resources to go back and make these changes. I'm happy, and I thank the board for denying the removal. We appreciate it, but also just so someone else doesn't have to go through this. Literally, we've got a project that's complete, getting energized and ready to be rented out, and we can't do anything because we can't get our CFO until we satisfy the Bureau of Engineering, and that's hinged upon this street widening, which will now have to be modified.
Your comments are well received and understood, and thank you. Thank you for.
And it's a policy issue that we're trying to rectify.
Yeah, there's.
Okay, and on that same note, if there's anyone that can help us to at least expedite the next phase of this, I would greatly appreciate it. Or I don't know what the next step is, or if we just go back to Bureau of Engineering and tell them that the trees have to stay. Let's modify our plans, so we're just redoing the sidewalk and the curbs and gutters in their existing location and adding the street light, or if there's going to be more hearings that we have to go through.
Mr. Tangeri is here from the Bureau of Engineering and has been involved in the conversation. I would just ask and urge that Mr. Tangeri work with you expeditiously to facilitate that.
Yes, he can work with us. We'll work with them to talk to Department of City Planning to work on the modification.
Okay, great. And my contact at the Bureau of Engineering for the plant, or reviewing the plans, I believe was Victor Mendoza with
yes, he's part of my staff.
He's been.
Can I ask?
Okay, perfect.
Gentlemen, can I ask y'all to continue this offline, and we'll and ask Mr. Tangeri to make sure and follow up?
Yes, thank you. I'll follow up with Victor Mendoza. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the ladies and gentlemen of the board.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Tangeri. Thank you, Mr. Benuelos. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us, folks, to item number 3. Item number 3 is a contract award, 5 Key Schools and Programs, Urban Alchemy, Mobile Pit Stop Bathroom, and Mobile Shower Program, Skid Row Cleaning Program. Recommending the Board of Public Works, subject to the approval of the mayor, authorize the president or two members of the Board of Public Works to execute a contract with 5 Keys Schools and Programs for services related to the implementation of the Mobile Pit Stop Bathroom and Mobile Showers programs, subject to city attorney approval. The term of this contract is for 1 year with 2 one-year renewal options. And B, a contract with Urban Alchemy for services related to the implementation of the Skid Row cleaning program, subject to the city attorney approval. The term of this contract is 1 year with 2 one-year renewal options. I believe, Mike, hello, sir.
Good morning, President Good.
Good morning.
Glad
it's good to see you in person.
Finally, we can come here to make a presentation in person.
Yes.
Good morning, President Good. Good morning, Vice President Garcia, Commissioner Caloza, and Commissioner Villegas, Mr. Jordan, and Dr. Campos. My name is Mike Yu. I'm working for the Board of Public Works Executive Office in charge of BPW hygiene programs. The first one, I want to provide you with some background information for the prior contract and 2 new contracts that need you guys' approval. In January 2019, under Mayor Garcia and Council's authorization, $9.6 million homeless emergency aid funding was allocated to the board office for continued mobile pit stop program, also launch a new mobile shower program and the Skid Row cleaning program. Under the board authorization in March, we through an RFP process, so we set up a contract for mobile pit stop program and the mobile shower program with 5 key schools and the programs. And also afterward, the board authorized several amendments to extend the services, also exercise the first renew option, which extended term until the June 30th, 2021. Meanwhile, in September 2019, under board authorization, we executed a social contract with the Hunter Point family for skid row cleaning program. Because based on the pilot nature, since the first year's performance was very well, so the Executive Office contacted board to seek the approval, exercise the renew option to continue the contract term for another year. In June 2020, based on the positive outcome of 3 programs, the mayor and the council authorized to allocate additional $9.4 million from a homelessness housing assistance and prevention program to continue all 3 programs. In March 2021, under board authorization, the board office released an RFP for all 3 programs. The RFP was closed in April 2021. The evaluation committee evaluated all 3 proposals that we received, and they recommend to award a contract with 5 keys, schools and programs for operating mobile pit stop and the mobile shower program. Also award a contract with Urban Alchemy for operating skid row cleaning program. So the new contract expands the service for the mobile pit stop program. The new contract expands the service location from current 17 locations to 19 locations. Also expand 24-day services in skid row area from 1 location to 3 locations. As for the mobile shower program, the contractor will still operate 4 mobile shower trailers, which were provided by the county at no cost. I come to the board for board approval for the amendment MOA with the county early this month, and the amended MOA has been fully executed now. As for the skid row cleaning program, the contractor will provide litter abatement services as the previous contract. However, the service hours, even the service hours starts from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., but the service days expand from the weekdays to weekends. So now it's a 7-day service. By saying that, I'm seeking board approval for both new contracts in order to continue mobile pit stop, mobile shower, and the skid row cleaning programs. Now I'm open for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that very much, and it is good to see you in person. Colleagues, we'll open it up with Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. Appreciate your report. I don't have any questions. I'm glad that we're expanding the program, and I see that we're going into more intensive cleanup and access for District 14. I appreciate that. I don't have any questions. It takes a lot to do this work, so I'm glad we're bringing in, the other 2 providers as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I see any additional questions? No. Oh, Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mike. I just had a few quick follow-up questions, and apologies if you mentioned it in your report, and I didn't catch it. In the board report, it mentioned that the contract amount was reduced slightly. Is there a reason why it was reduced?
I don't think it's reduced. You mean the fund amount got reduced, or?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if maybe this is old language. It's just on page 4 of the board report, it's just talking about how the amount of the contract had been reduced. It's not by much, but I was just curious what caused that reduction.
That's basically after we select the contractor, we also perform a best and offer process to get the best price for the city. After negotiation, The 5 kids agreed to provide us 1.5% discount, and the Urban Alchemy agreed to provide us 1% discount, which is like off from the originally proposed cost. So I think that's what means reduced in the board report.
Okay, got it. Yeah, it didn't explain why there was a reduction, but so it's just through our standard negotiations that you're able to lower the cost slightly.
That's correct. That's correct.
Got it.
So in the future board report, I will further clarify on that part.
Okay, no problem. I was just curious. And then the only other question I had is I know these, RFP processes take such a long time, and this is a really critical program that you run for not just the department, but for the city. I'm just curious why the structure of the one-year contracts, is there a reason why we structured it that way?
No, actually, it's 1 year with 2 1-year renew options. Technically,
Right.
we have a 3 years term there. But however, because all 3 programs are operated under state grant funding 100%, so we had to go year by year based on the availability of state grant.
Got it.
So
Okay.
if the state doesn't provide the grant for those 3 programs anymore, then we have to locate other vehicle to continue the program. If that happens, I need to come back to the board, maybe seek the board approval to use different vehicles.
Okay.
So at the current situation, I think the best way to do it is year by year.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that. I was just curious why we did a year by year, because that's more work for you, is what
I
I'm
know,
saying.
but more freedom for the city, right?
Right. I appreciate the explanation, and thanks for your work on this. It's a really, really critical program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any questions. Excellent report, Mike. Thank you very much. I know sanitation is also here. Anything that y'all want to add on this?
No, I was just here to support the contract, which will be amending program.
Right.
You guys had any questions regarding?
Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to move the item forward?
So move.
Vice President Garcia, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Any objections? Okay. So hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you, Sanitation.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us, colleagues, to item 4. Item 4 is a tiny little contract. I'm saying that sarcastically, folks. Personal services contract, R&G Fanucci, Inc., custom farming operations at the Green Acres Farm. Recommending the board, 1, approve and forward this report with transmittals forthwith to the mayor and the city council with the request that the Board of Public Works be authorized to execute a contract for a term of 5 years with 1 3-year renewal option with R&G Fanucci, Inc. for the custom farming operations at the Green Acres Farm. The ceiling cost for the contract is $416,745. 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract upon the mayor's and council's authorization. And 3, return the executed contract agreement to Bureau of Sanitation for further processing. Work order S10FPURC. Who do we have with us today? Oh, Alan Tran. Hello, sir. Good to see you in person, Mr. Tran.
Good to see you. Good morning, President Good, Vice President Garcia, Commissioner Calosa, Commissioner Villegas, Mr. Ted Jordan, and Dr. Campos. My name is Alan Tran with the LSAN, and today I'm going to present the R&G Fanucci contract for farming operation and management at Green Acre Farm. As you all knew, the city owns a property in Kern County called Green Acre Farm. The size of the farm is about 4,688 acres, located adjacent to 5 Freeway and 119 Taft Highway. Green Acre Farm is the main beneficial use location for the city biosolid. About 65% of the total biosolid production at Hyperion has been hauled to Green Acre Farm for land application. The biosolid has been beneficially used as fertilizer and soil amendments to grow crops as required in the wastewater discharge permit from the California Regional Water Quality Control Board. And this is how the city of LA involved in the farming operation at Green Acre Farm. The crop that we grow at Green Acre Farm is including alfalfa, Sudan, milo, corn, wheat, and these are all non-human consumption crops. Crops have been sold to the local dairies. Currently, the city has an existing contract with the RNG Fanuki for the farming operation and management. It's due to expire on July next year, 2022. So we have the RP process to get a new contract in place before the current contract expires. On January 24, 2020, the board authorized the LSN to distribute an RP for the farming operation and management at Green Acre Farm. The RP will post on LA Bavin and the LSN website. We conduct the pre-proposal meeting on March 4, 2020, and there were 4 consultant firms attend the meeting. They are RNG Fanuki, Diamond Equipment, Urchin Beauty Squad, and Right at Home Firms. In response to the RP, on the due date of the proposal submission, we received only 1 proposal submitted by the RNG Fanuki. So after evaluating the RNG Fanuki proposal and interview them, we determined that Fanuki met all the requirements and qualification of the RP. Fanuki has a great experience and knowledge in regards to handling and using the biosolid as fertilizer for farming. They have knowledge, experience, and understanding with the all applicable regulation of the local, state, and federal that apply to the farming operation. They have years of experience with a significant knowledge of the farming operation, management, and crop selling marketing. As for the business inclusion program, RNG Fanuki comply with the subcontractor outreach requirement during the RP process. Based on LA Bavin records, using the NAICS code for the farming work related, they make their efforts to reach out 40 MBE firms, 40 WBE firms, 60 EBE firms, and 11 DVBE firms, and some of the OBE firms. But none of them respond to RNG Fanuki requests except OBE firm. Therefore, as the result, Fanuki pledged participation level of 0% on MBE, WBE, SBE, EBE, and DVBE, and 26.66% for OBE. This new contract is for the term of 5 years with 1 3-year renewal option for the farming operation and management. The ceiling cost for the contract is $35 million, $4,016, and $745. This new contract with us will start on July 26, 2022. The funding for this contract will come in from the sewer operation maintenance funded, special funded. Therefore, there will be no impact on the general funded. And that concludes my report. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Tran. Got to keep remembering that. So any questions, colleagues? Vice President Garcia?
Thank you, President Good. I know we had a briefing, and I thank you for your briefing. You answered a lot of my questions. Just for the record, what happens to the products that are that get produced through this Green Acres Farms? What do we do with that product?
The product that we land apply first, you mean the biosolid, right?
Yeah, yes.
The biosolid,
yes.
first we have the land application contractor. They do the land apply on the soil. And after that, we land apply on the soil, the Fanuki contract come in and do the farming and use this as a fertilizer.
Oh, for fertilizer.
Yeah.
Because you said that it produces alfalfa and...
Alfalfa, that's a crop. Alfalfa, that's the name of the crop. Alfalfa,
yeah,
Sudan.
but what do you do with the alfalfa?
We sell it to the local dairy to feed the cow.
To feed the cow, because this is not for human consumption.
No.
Got it. So not only do we, create the soil and so forth, but we also sell it back to the local folks there,
Yes.
so they can feed their farm animals.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
That's why we call it the beneficial use option. We recycle it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this company has been doing this with us for many years now, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. That's it for now. I know we went through the whole discussion of subs and what to do next and so forth, but thank you for your clarification on that.
Thank you.
Any,
We used to have the contract with the zoo, but it's been a while that the zoo has been calling us and then getting the material. So,
oh, right.
To our zoo. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
to the LA Zoo and
We don't
also
do
the
that
LAPD.
anymore?
Yeah,
We don't do that anymore?
we don't do that anymore. Yeah,
Oh.
somehow like.
Is that because the
we
zoo
haven't
was
received
closed
any
so long?
order
Well, no,
from
the
us.
animals still got to get fed, don't they? Yeah.
The animals still have to eat. Maybe we should revisit that situation again, because I think that's a really nice, outcome of this is making, recycling the food and then feeding our own, animals in our zoo. So maybe we'll touch base on that to see how we can rekindle that again.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Kaleza?
Sorry, I'm not used to hitting my
I know we're out of
buzzer
the.
before you would call on us. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Tran, and for your work on this. I have a few questions for you,
Sure,
since
yeah.
this is a very large contract. Just curious, can you explain what outreach LA-SAN did to get these proposers? Did you just do Bavin, or did you do anything more?
We only post on the LA Bavin, and we posted on the LA-SAN website. And we established the list of the contractor through using the NAICS code for the farming work industry.
Okay. But you didn't do any outreach events or anything like that?
You mean like mail out on the regular mail?
No, sometimes I know we conduct certain outreach for large contracts like this. More just asking, knowing that Finucci, how long have they had this contract?
They had this contract since 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. One of the other questions that I had too is I noticed that there was an increase in the contract from when you released the RFP to the board report in front of us now. I think it went up from 33 to 35 million. Can you explain what the increased cost resulted in?
It's a slightly increased due to the CPI increase, because when we posted, it's back in 2018, and when Fanuki submit the proposal is in 2020, and the price will not be effective until July 2022.
Okay. So this 35 million is the most accurate price to reflect when the contract would go in place next year.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thanks for explaining that. And you guys are a year early.
Yes.
Congratulations, I think.
Try to. Yeah.
Can you also just briefly go over any differences for maybe how you structured it, or anything that LA-SAN changed in the RFP that you released that resulted in what we're going to be awarding today versus the previous contract? Did you make any major changes?
There will be no major change in the scope of work. The farming management, the operation, and the crop sale marketing will be the same. And for your information, that the based on the crop use that we have been getting, the revenues from the crop sale exceed the farming operation. So basically, like the revenue cover the farming operation cost.
Okay. And what was the cost of the last contract we issued on this? Is it also around 33, 35 million, or what was the cost?
My understanding, the yearly cost probably about from 3.5 to 3.7 million dollars per year.
Okay, so it went up slightly,
Yeah,
like you said.
it's
Okay.
slightly due to the
Now-
CPI. Yeah.
Got it, okay, because this is 3.9. Okay. And the only other thing that I did want to make a note of, not necessarily any questions from you, but I did just want to express my disappointment in this contractor for their bad business inclusion numbers. For a $35 million 8-year contract, I expect more, and I expect better numbers for these business inclusion. There's a lot of zeros in this report, and it sounds like some of the operations and activities that you described at the farm aren't that highly specialized, unless you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I think because dealing with the biosolid.
With the biosolids? Yeah. But that said, they've had this contract since 2006, and that's a lot of time to do additional work and outreach to improve numbers like this. I don't know what their numbers look like in the last contract they held, but typically for a contract of this size and this scope and this long, I hope you express my disappointment to them, that I hope that they do better for business inclusion moving forward.
I understand your concern, Commissioner Caloza, and thank you so much for your advice from the briefing and by President Garcia. We will continue working with Fanuki to encourage them to work with the subcontractor, either like in the future outreach or the current list. So if those subcontractors are qualified for the MBWB, we will encourage them to register and to be certified.
Thank you, Mr. Tran. And again, that was not a comment for you specifically, but for them to do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Alan. Commissioner Villegas?
Hi, thank you. Just to provide a little bit of context to your question, we noticed that in our briefing as well that the Fanucci, RNG Fanucci, that their inclusion numbers were not well, but we, on the OBE, they have about 26%, and we thought maybe just from the names of the subcontractors, they can probably be eligible for some of the other categories, and we asked to have them review and apply so that those numbers could possibly go up. That was obviously a red flag, so thank you for making that comment, Commissioner Caloza. I have a question just in terms of the sale of all of the crops and such that you have, that you make. I see it's in the contract, and just wondering what's like a ballpark figure. Do you know of how much is sold that the city gets back?
Actually, the city get 100% for the revenues, and for the revenues 1918, we plan about 5,900 acres of crops. And the revenue is $3.78 million.
3.78 million?
Yes.
Okay. A year?
And for the 1920, we plan about 6,200 acres, and our revenue is $3.99 million.
Okay, so about like $3.5 to $4 million annually.
And yes,
Okay.
yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, the operation cost it was only about 3.5 to 3.7. So actually, it's covered the operation cost.
Okay. And does that revenue go directly to LA Sand, or does it go?
No, let's go to the. I believe we send it to the Department
Fund?
of the Accounting, the accounting office. So I'm not sure it go to LSN or go to the city general fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
I want to provide just a little more context.
Did you say, Mr. Tran, that the funds go, you're not sure if they go back to SEM or if they go to the general fund?
I think it go to general fund.
Go to the general fund? Okay.
Yeah.
Vice President Garcia?
Yeah, I just wanted to provide a little more context from our briefing. You did say that Fanucci, I just want to make sure I'm saying it right, Fanucci, and through the Babin system, pulled out a call on this, right?
Yes.
Through the NICS code, and none of our Babin participants or registers replied to or submitted some kind of interest to this, to the call that Fanucci pulled out, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was on the record. And so I asked if you can work with Linda to see why there wasn't any response. And so that's something that maybe we should look into, why we didn't get any responses from any of our subs or small businesses to this call. And even though you use the right coding, and there's also other companies that fall into that code, there just wasn't any response, right?
We will, yeah.
Okay, so let's work with BCA to see what happened there, and so that we're not in the same position 5 years from now.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan, for all your work, because I know you put a lot of work into this.
Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, just to provide some larger context. First of all, I agree that the numbers are terrible. I mean, 0, not good. And that's never good, especially a contract of this size. But the context is also, I think, worth noting. The farm operation is not here. It's up into Kern County. And so I think for most city projects, most city work, things that people, use bobbin for, are projects located inside the city, in the city limits. So this is a somewhat different situation. I'm not saying it really excuses anything, because I don't know, but it is possible that some of the lack of response on this is due to simply the fact that this work takes place at the farm, and the farm is up in Kern County. By the way, if any of you have not been to the farm, it's a great place. I've been there on several occasions, so we had a judge once call it the cleanest farm he'd ever seen, because we had litigation, as you know. But I think the remoteness of the location may be part of the reason that they didn't get the outreach that we would normally expect to get. Also, I think it was Commissioner Colosa's comment, bobbin is the way we do outreach for our projects. That's what's required by the Business Inclusion Program. I think in the future, as we get these sort of one-off contracts that are sort of somewhat unique, additional outreach may be something that we can encourage the Bureau to do. I, for one, on a contract that I was overseeing in my office when we were seeking outside counsel, reached out to the Bar Association in Washington, D.C., because we knew that's where the law firms that did the kind of work that we needed were located. And so Fanucci has done a good job running this farm. I concur with the Bureau's recommendation, but I do think perhaps in the future, as we go through the normal RFP cycle, perhaps a little more focused outreach in publications or other associations that, farming companies look at would be appropriate. Because, you have to register onto bobbin to see those opportunities. And so which is a perfectly good system for virtually all the work we do. But this one's a little bit different. And I think that difference explains the numbers that are in the report and maybe the overall level of interest in the prime contract. So that's all.
Strikes me as a very fair point.
Thank you.
And also, well, the remoteness of the farm and its impact on people engaging seems a very fair and salient point. I also embrace the recommendation, and I'm not sure how we formalize or institutionalize that structure, but in situations, not just here, but other situations where the norm, we can anticipate that BAVN, the universe of BAVN, will not necessarily be sufficient, that we would encourage, if not even direct, more informal outreach avenues, because I think that makes a lot of sense. You could almost imagine that alone might have made a difference in these numbers at some point. Commissioner Closo?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the points made, and I agree with Mr. Jordan and what the comments are made so far. You know, you are coming here a year early too, so I did just want to note that some of the outreach could have happened, right? Like the contract actually doesn't expire until next year, so we're awarding it a year early. But I mean, we really are not going to have another bite at this apple for another 8 years. So to whatever extent we can prep 8 years early, or at least work with, you know, the contractor now to see what else is possible. You know, I think that would be great, because these smaller contracts, I think, could even really help that area in Kern County, right? They may not even know these opportunities exist. So,
Okay.
thanks.
Also a great point. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if y'all encouraged them to continue going out and just work with BCA in that process.
We will.
Yeah, okay, great. Great point, Jessica, or Commissioner Closa. Okay, do I have any other questions, colleagues, or comments? Vice President Garcia? No. Commissioner Villegas?
No, just to move
okay.
the item.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Any objections, Commissioner Closa? Okay. Hearing no objections, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Tran. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So that brings us, colleagues, to, item 5. Item 5 is contract amendment number 1, emergency repair services and construction of urgent necessity projects, wastewater treatment plants, and other wastewater facilities, recommending the board, 1, approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor and city council, requesting the following. A, approve amendment number 1 to each of the 8 contracts between the City of Los Angeles and Clark Contracting Corporation, Colich & Sons, LP, Kiewit Infrastructure West Company, JF Shea Construction, Myers & Sons Construction, LP, United Riggers and Erectors, Inc., Murray Plumbing and Heating and Company, and Miron Electric Construction Corporation to extend the total contract term by 5 years with an expiration date of October 10, 2027, and B, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute amendment number 1 for each of the 8 contracts identified above. I won't read all of those work orders. Do we have, who's here to present on this item?
Mr. Wong.
Oh. Ethan Wong, in person.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning. Yeah. It's kind of different.
He's tall.
Yeah, they don't
It is
make
funny,
these,
isn't it? These.
So good morning. I'm Ethan Wong with the Bureau of Engineering Environmental Engineering Division. So the item here before you is a request to extend the 8 on-call emergency contracts that the Environmental Engineering Division manages for the water reclamation plants and various other wastewater facilities. So these contracts are for the emergency repair services and urgent necessity projects that we manage at the 4 different water reclamation plants, as well as various facilities throughout the city of Los Angeles. The way the list works is a order was identified back when the contracts were established in October of 2017. When a emergency project is identified, we go to the top contractor, and if they can respond right away, they will be tasked with coming out to the site and given an opportunity to do the project. If they do not respond, then we cycle through the next contractor and so on and so forth. We also do have the opportunity to bid a project when there's enough time to the top 3 contractors. So that also gives us some flexibility of cycling through the list as well as getting better prices for these projects. Because these are urgent.
And once somebody does, excuse me for interrupting, just for clarity. So, and once contractor 1, for lack of a better way to put it, does a job, then they go back down to the bottom, so it's constant.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Okay.
Yeah, so the list cycles through. So once, a contractor is awarded a project, they will be put at the bottom of the list. Because these are urgent necessity emergency projects, a waiver was granted by the Mayor's Office of Economic Development for the BIP outreach in February of 2016. That pretty much concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding this.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Any questions, colleagues? Commissioner Villegas?
Sure. Thank you. It's good to see you in the live. I appreciate your report, Mr. Wong. I have a question. This is to extend for another 5 years?
That's correct.
All right. And these are, pretty well-known firms that are, they got worldwide operations. I know that some of these do. So I am wondering, because they provide emergency services for LA Sand, why are we wanting to extend and not necessarily open up for others to participate?
So this list is not used as frequently as some of the other emergency contracts. So this list of contractors is pretty much the ones that typically respond to when we do issue a contract on the street to establish a new list. These are the contractors that have responded historically to this specific list that is for the wastewater treatment plants.
Okay. Thank you for that. I just feel that, it's we're not allowing other local or other maybe statewide organizations or businesses to be able to participate because, like I said, I know, I don't want to call out any company here, but these are like worldwide or, companies that do work all over the world, and yet we can't find that local talent here, and we're extending it for another 5 years.
Understood. There are actually 5 contractors on the list that are local business enterprises, certified local business enterprises, if that helps.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I understand. I mean, you can do worldwide and still have an local office. I understand that. It's just, I'm just trying to make a point here while I have you and while I have the ability to just make my point. It's just that, where we have, I would just like to see some other businesses, be able to have that opportunity. That is my only comment. I appreciate your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Don't see any green lights. Vice President Garcia? Oh. Mr. Jordan?
Yes, Commissioner, that was excellent questions. I think, again, in maybe sort of in the realm of some of the context, it's also important for the Bureau with these particular contracts to have firms that at a moment's notice can take on what may be significant work. And some of the smaller enterprises that may be capable of doing the work, well, Ethan will correct me if I'm wrong, but we need to have a firm that can do the work and can do the work without any advance notification, rather than some of the other contractors that bid on work for us. They specifically put in place the resources just when they're needed, but they don't necessarily have those resources lying around just waiting for us to pick up the phone and call. So the advantage of some of the larger firms is that they are big, but that means they have the resources available at a moment's notice without having to do maybe some of the more logistical planning that smaller operations would need to do, because they don't necessarily have a lot of that kind of excess capacity. So but I hear what you're saying. We're extending the contracts for another 5 years, and it sounds like what Ethan said historically, because we've been doing these contracts for a long time, and we kind of see the same players. That doesn't mean in the future, though, if we start seeing some interest, because firms can reach out, that the board, if it wanted to, could request the Bureau to sort of reopen it and add people. We've done that in some other on-call lists. However, adding firms to a list that doesn't necessarily generate tons of work then sort of dilutes the value of the work that's there, because then it takes longer to cycle through. So it's a bit of a balance. But some of what you see here with these firms is firms that have the capability of doing the work and have the capability of doing the work without any sort of advance notification, because they have those resources available to them. So.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that, and I will just say that we even though they may have the resources, we still don't know. We still have that gray area because we haven't opened it up for some time. But I appreciate just more context, for the decision that's before us today. Thank you.
Any questions? No. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Yeah, I have no questions, though I appreciate the point you made there, and I think it's important. So I will motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Wait, I got 2 seconds. Calosa and Garcia. Any objections, Villegas? All right. So the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you for being here, Mr. Tall, and it's good to see you in person.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you, Mr. Jordan, as well. Okay. So that brings us, colleagues, to several oral reports. First, we have our status update on major upcoming street improvement projects. Who's with us today?
Good morning. Antoine Lewis from Street Services, Slurry Division.
Good morning, sir.
Slurry Division?
No, I just said good morning.
Oh, I'm sorry, good morning. There's a little echo.
That's okay, yeah.
All right, so we have no major projects for next week for resurfacing or slurry, but we do have our city divided in 2 sections, our Metro and Valley. The Metro section has 6 projects with 4.6 lane miles, and we have 10 projects in the Valley of 8.6. And slurry, we have 89 projects with 33 lane miles. So slurry does more lane miles than resurfacing, so that's why the numbers are a little higher. And that's all we have to report. Any questions?
Any questions, folks? All right. Thank you for the presentation. Thanks for being here, okay? All right. It's good to see you in person. All right. Item 7. Solvents, automotives, flammable, electronic wastes, safe collection centers update from the Bureau of Sanitation. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, President Good, Commissioners.
If you don't mind pulling your mic down a little bit. Sorry, Ethan, was Ethan still here? He ruined it for everybody. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is John Park, representing the Solid Resources Citywide Recycling Division. I'm presenting residential special materials updates and program updates and progress, especially safe center operations and recent awards and achievements. Like many others, the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic year created many challenges for our programs. We shut down the safe centers for almost 4 months due to mayor's stay-at-home order. We reopened all 7 safe centers on July 11, 2020, and have seen significant increase in participation and collection volumes. During the pandemic, we experienced facility closure with our recycling partners, but we rebounded with quick solutions. For example, we arranged for e-waste collected at the LA Sand Yard to be transferred to Lopez Canyon landfill and stored in large containers until our contractors resume their operations. Currently, all e-waste has been removed from Lopez Canyon and recycled. Our last mobile collection event took place in March 2020, and events remained suspended. At this time, we plan to reevaluate resuming mobile collection event in 2022. Despite all these challenges, we received the 2020 Leader in Sustainability Award for the 3rd year in a row from Call to Recycle Battery Stewardship Program for diverting over 25,000 pounds of batteries for recycling in 2020. Our Gaffey Safe Centers was recently voted the best recycling center in the South Bay area by the Daily Breeze newspaper. Many residents have also expressed their gratitude for their pleasant experience when visiting safe centers. Now I'm reporting the progress we have made over the last few years, fiscal years. In your handout on page 5, the graph shows the growth in household hazardous waste, electronic waste collection at the safe centers. In 2019-2020 collection data shows how the 4 months closure impacted our collection volume. However, as soon as we reopened in the 2020-21 fiscal year, our collection increased significantly. The participation level at the safe center shown in page 6 coincided with the collection volume level. On page 8, 2 graphs are displaying the participation and collection level for the mobile collection event. Due to the suspension of mobile collection events in March 2020, most residents now dispose their waste materials at the safe centers. We are reassessing the condition to resume mobile collection events in 2022. On page 10 of a handout, the used oil recovery center at the marina have collected over 20% more oil in this fiscal year than the previous year. There are 14 recovery centers at the marinas in San Pedro and Wilmington area. They serve as a drop-off locations for used oil filters, and oil debris from the nearby residents and porters. These recovery centers have been beneficial for residents in that area. Lastly, I have a couple of updates on our current contract administration for the RSM program. The current personal service contract with the Clean Harbors Environmental Services expire in November 2023. A new RFP has been advertised since May 7, and the bid due date is July 29, 2021. The new RFP is for $432 million over 11 years and will support the RSM program in recycling division, especially 7 safe centers, and 6 other LASAN divisions, including the Livability Service Division for unsheltered community cleanup. Now I conclude my oral presentation. I can answer any of your questions.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Closa?
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Kim, right?
Park.
What's that?
Park.
Park, sorry about that. Mr. Park, nice to see you. It's been so long. I don't necessarily have any questions for you. I was looking through your presentation. I think it's remarkable how much more material you've collected, even though you've been closed. When you did open up, there's a huge spike that we saw. So are you currently open now for any, your safe center is currently open?
Yeah, currently open.
Right,
Yes.
okay. I just wanted to commend to LASAN for the awards that you've won as a result of operating the Safe Center. I think that's really commendable. And I think the one thing that I know we can always do more of, and I know LASAN actually does a really great job for the Safe Center program, is continuing to let people know about your operation, because there's lots of hazardous materials that people dispose of in their traditional waste bin that they should not be, and it can sometimes be very dangerous. And I know when I had my initial briefing with you 2 years ago, you all taught me a lot about things we should and should not be throwing in our bin, so that was really educational for me. And so I'm just glad to see that the community acknowledges the benefit of this program. I wish we had more safe centers distributed throughout the city. You have more of a active participant here on our board due to your location, I think, from President Good on the west side. But that's the only thing that I hope to see when you all look at this contract, is expansion to like how to make it more accessible, because not everyone has the ability to drive over to your safe center. And I don't know if there's any other mobile programs. Do you all operate any mobile drop-off centers or anything like that?
Right now, all mobile collection events are suspended, but we are trying to reopen the mobile collection event in 2022.
Got it. Yeah, because it's harder and harder to find places to dispose of materials. Like I remember just even like for batteries, like before Home Depot would take them, now they don't take them. Before Office Depot would take them, now they don't. And so you're actually one of the few places that can take things like that. So that's the only thing I would encourage when you come to board and as you're reviewing these proposals that you get, is what other flexibilities can we provide to constituents so that we provide more access points. But other than that, I don't have any questions. Just wanted to thank you all for your work, and great job on the report, and I really appreciate hearing the updates and seeing all the metrics and the numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, so the only permanent site is Hyperion? Or no, there's also at Lopez Canyon?
I beg your pardon?
The only permanent sites are Hyperion and no Lopez Canyon Safe Center?
No,
so
we
it
have
is Hyperion.
seven locations.
Wait.
Seven locations
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, they're just all, it's just,
throughout the city.
There's one big one near
there's
you.
that which,
Yeah.
as my daughter will tell you, it's one of my favorite places to go on the weekend. All right, Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. First of all, I'm a big supporter of your Safe Center. I've always been, and I will continue to be. I think you provide such important, integral service to the community. And first, I want to congratulate you and your team for all the awards you're getting and to continue to get these awards. I saw that you've gotten awards 3 years in a row, so congratulations for that. Second, I also echo my colleague's comment about we should have more of these safe centers around the city and also provide constituency outreach to make sure that where folks can go and, make these deposits safely of different items. And my third question to you, and I'm sorry, I should probably know this, but I don't. Does your safe center accept oil or grease? I mean, not oil, grease, like food grease, or
Yes, we accept cooking oils.
cooking oil? So I was just thinking when you were saying, in our street vendor world, one of the biggest issues or complaints we have is that our street vendors drop grease on the street when they're done, right? I wonder if we can do some type of outreach to our street vendor community on where they can properly dispose their grease once they're done utilizing it and not dump it on the street. Maybe we can work with Teresa, Commissioner Villegas, on that to add it to resources and services for the street vendor community. I'm only saying that because it is an actual issue that we face through street services and our sidewalks. When our street vendors are done, they drop grease or deposit the grease on the street. So we should do a proactive approach and outreach to our street vendor community so that doesn't happen. Even though they shouldn't and it's illegal and they're probably operating illegal, we just don't want the grease on the street anyway. So maybe we can do some kind of outreach effort around that.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. You brought up a good point. And thanks for trying to help us out here. We just had a meeting yesterday where this issue was brought up. So it is very real and concerning. That's all. Yeah. And congratulations also on your 3-year award. I actually just had a quick question. Where do your 25 pounds of batteries? Where do those go?
It was recycled. Most of the 25,000 pounds of batteries is recyclable, like lithium-ion batteries and different chemistry. Those are recycled and they recover. There is a good rare earth materials. Those are taken out and reused to make a new batteries.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. I don't have any more questions. I know my family always, uses all of our LA City services for recycling, so I appreciate it, and that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Park. Maybe we want to include a report on the safe centers in our CD8 community meeting in September. I think that would be very good. So, Dr. Campos, would you mind taking note on that, and let's work on that one. And yes, to reiterate, the Hyperion Safe Center is one of my favorite weekend trips. Okay. I have no more questions. Thank you for the thorough report. Really appreciate it. Oh, I do have one more question. Remind me, and I should know this, probably my colleagues know this, safe centers are fully funded by the state, aren't they? Or what's the funding mechanism for all of this process?
This funded by our contract, and also we have a CARE grant, and we are also generating some revenue from the e-waste collection.
So we get a smattering of revenue from the e-waste, basically recycling.
Yes.
We get Cal Recycle, Cal grants.
Yes.
They pay for most of it, I'm assuming?
Some. And then also we're getting a tipping fee from the county.
They pay us?
Yes.
A tipping fee? For dropping off their stuff?
Those.
Okay. Wait. They drop, explain that.
The, the solid waste, excuse me,
No, sorry.
the trash collected within the city of LA, which is part of LA County, is going into the landfill. So county paying us those, reimbursing those fee to the city.
Oh, I see. So our tipping fee, the tipping fees we pay the county for what we have to take to the county landfills. That comes back to us.
To us.
We're reimbursed that money, and we put that into this program.
This program, yes.
Okay. For a future report somewhere, I'd love to see the economics of it. It all makes sense. I mean, I get it. I just would like to understand that. So, all right, thank you. Thank you for the report.
All right, thank you.
It's good to meet you in person. All right, colleagues. Lastly, and Brother Khalil has been waiting patiently. We have solid resources, collection yard activities, composting, mulching, and recycling update. This was scheduled for July 2, but we continued today. Good morning, sir. And it is?
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, Mr. Executive Officer, Mr. City Attorney, Khalil Garrios, Division Manager, LA Sanitation. Just for the record, I asked for the continuous because I knew July 16 is going to be in the chamber. So that's the main reason I asked for the continuous, because I want to be here. You know, after a year and a half, is it like, I'm honored to be in this chamber. It's a great opportunity to just be back here and then just start wearing suits. My report this morning.
Mr. Jordan asked if he could wear a sweatshirt today. I told him no. So thank you for dressing up, Khalil.
My report this morning is going to be on the mulching and composting program, and I have my colleagues here going to report on the yard activities, the collection yard. The state of our composting and mulching program is strong, even though with the pandemic. My report is going to be covered, broken down into 4 elements. I want to report on the actual operation and the services we provide, and then the outreach to the community and the education program, and then lastly, the future. What are we looking for in the future for our program? Starting with operation, LA San owns and operates 3 facilities: Lopez Canyon Environmental Center, Griffiths Park Compost Facility, and Harbor Mulching Facility. We have a daily processing capability of 500 tons per day of yard trimming, 15 ton per day of manure, 5 ton per day of both biosolid and zoo animal dropping. Lopez Canyon does both mulching and composting operation. The Harbor facility only does the mulching operation, and Griffiths Park only does the composting operation. There's no mulching program at Griffiths Park. We continued the operation during the pandemic, but at little reduced capacity, and we're hoping now to just transition back to the normal operation. Our services. We deliver bulk mulch and compost in large quantities to schools, nonprofit organizations, and we do also send it to farmers and to council event. When the council office have event that have tree planting, we deliver the mulch for them. We also have 10 giveaway sites throughout the city, and it's all open to the resident to take as much mulch and compost as they please. We also sell the compost to large users. If we have a large user that would like to have compost, we'll charge them $25 a ton, and we deliver it to them. We also supply bulk and bag mulch and compost to many tree planting events. We partner with City Plant, and anytime they have an event, will provide the mulch and compost to them. Our outreach and education, in addition to our normal and frequent, if I may say, social blasts, social media announcement and website information, we participate in the annual Earth Day. We didn't do it last year, but hopefully we're looking forward to next year. And then all our annual yard open houses. We haven't also done it last year. Looking forward, hopefully, to get back to norm and then just have the annual open houses back to normal. What we do there, we share the program with the community, and we have a little education with the kids that attend those events, where we have plants, and we have the compost, and we have the mulch, and we teach the kids how to plant, and they can take the plant with them home and plant it back in their yard. So it's very exciting for the kids to get dirty and start learning how to plant. And lastly, but most importantly, we have a backyard composting and urban gardening education program. We have partnered with Pacoma Beautiful for the last 4 years now. We provide monthly urban gardening and backyard composting classes. It's a partnership and a combination of both city staff and Pacoma Beautiful staff. And also, we have Department of Water and Power staff that join us to also have the community teach them about all the programs for water conservation effort. As you know now, we have the 15% voluntary conservation effort that was asked by the governor for all the residents to try to do. And then that's going to be mostly important for to share with all our residents. We have 3 separate facilities where we provide the education. We have one at Lopez Canyon Environmental Education Center, and one at the South LA Wetland. We just added one, hopefully we'll open it pretty soon in San Pedro, and then in Griffiths Park. So we have 4 separate facilities that we provide this education. So it would look like now, from now until the future, we'll have one education class every week in one of these facilities. What our future, oh, by the way, the other announcement I will make, that stay tuned. We partnered with LA Rams. Robert Woods, our receiver, he came to our facility, and they're doing a national event about recycling. We partnered with LA Rams, and they're going to release it hopefully by the end of July. It shows all our program, how we process green waste, how we take it from the resident, and we'll give it back to them. He actually done it on the line. He was right there working with us in separating the contaminants and working with us. So stay tuned for that. Our future plans, like I said, the expansion of our education centers. We have one additional one in San Pedro. And then the rain barrel giveaway. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia, for leading this effort. We are going to open up the ability to just start giving away rain barrels during our education programs also. So that's going to be added to our program. And the other program that we're looking to do is we want to help inner city schools to convert blacktop into green top. So one school now we're working with is 728 East Elementary, East 28th Elementary School. We are going, and it's all based on volunteer. The only thing we're providing is some of the material and the equipment, but it'll be volunteer-based by city staff. I'm working with our marketing office to just get that off the ground. So this will be our first school that we're going to do this. We identified an area where we are going to just, it's a dirt area. We are just going to cultivate it and then just have raised bed and then just have the kids just plant and have vegetable there. So it's going to be, I'm looking forward to that one. Lastly, SB 1383, which you're all familiar with, the compliance. By 2025, we have to reduce 75% of our organic that's going into a landfill based on 2014 level. What we're doing about that, that's as a city holistic approach, we are looking into, we're doing a pilot now to have our resident put their food waste into our green bin. And that would impact our current program because our permit now at most of our facilities do not include the food waste component in it. We're looking at option to figure out how we can continue the operation at the same time comply with SB 1383. That concludes my report. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Garias. Really thorough. Good stuff. Colleagues, any questions for Khalil?
Just a quick question, Khalil, and a comment. Good job on all of this. This is very important work you're doing, and especially on that East 28th Street Elementary, that it's here right in the city bounds. And being a city kid, I know that we never really had green in our schools. It was really just asphalt, but it's really nice to see that we're turning that around. I'm going like this because it's really hard to see you with the glare. There's like two glares, so I'm trying to avoid the glare. And so congratulations for that. It's important. Your presentation was good, like always, on point. You did say that there's 4 sites that you have that would provide mulch. Is it mulch to the community?
No, we have 4 sites that we provide the education, and we have 10 giveaway site that the resident can come and take mulch as much as they want.
Interesting. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. What are your 4 sites? Because I was trying to write them down and I missed the last.
Okay, the current ones are Lopez Canyon Environmental Education Center. The second one is Griffiths Park Compost Facility area. We have an education area in the Griffiths Park composting facility. And the third is the South LA wetland.
Okay.
And we just actually completed the infrastructure build out for that particular. It's going to be exactly like Lopez Canyon, but it's going to be at the South LA wetland. And the third, which is we're hoping to have the grand opening, which is you guys are invited. Going to be, I think, the first week of August. We have a facility in San Pedro, a nature center, and part of that is going to be an education component.
Got it. Yeah, by the way, congratulations on the way you've constructed and designed the Lopez Canyon site. It really has come a long way. It's a beautiful center now. And the community there, you have a lot of traction in that community. So I know the community is eager to go back and take the classes. There's, you get sometimes over 100 participants in one class. So, and you've really made it a very beautiful site with shade. And if you guys haven't gone out there, it's really pretty. And I look forward to the new one, to go visit the new one and see how that looks. And I know we were out in Council District 9 when we were giving out the Rain Barrel events, talking about the design and how you're doing it. So that came now to fruition, right? So I have to go out there again and go see it. Because we were out there, putting our heads together trying to see but now, it's done. So I want to go out there and check out what that looks like now and see what else we can do, because that's another nice site that a lot can be done.
Sure.
So thank you, Khalil, for your work. It's really good what you're doing, and I look forward to supporting your events.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Any questions, comments? Commissioner Coloso.
Thank you, President Good. I agree with what Vice President Garcia already mentioned. Just want to commend you and your team on all the public education and outreach efforts that you've conducted. I wish that Dr. Williams was here to hear your report about mulching and composting, since I think he would really appreciate that. He's probably your biggest consumer. That's not based on any fact. That's just because he talks about mulching so much and what a critical service it is. Especially in the past year when I know a lot of people have taken up gardening, right, since we've spent so much time at home. And just to kind of connect this to another item that we heard, but do we, how are we producing the mulch?
How would you produce the mulch? Well, okay, that's good, very good question, Commissioner. We're trying to make a major outreach and education to our resident to just have them put only the yard trimming in the green bin. Unfortunately, some of them do and some of them don't, and it's something that we want to just keep at and educate our resident. We receive the green waste off the truck, and the first thing we do is we have our laborers go through the material on the floor of where it's dumped, and they remove all the major big contaminant. And sometimes, people think that's a green can. Anything green can go in that green can. Sometimes, we found toys that are green in the green can. So we separate those, and then they are, after that, if their loader would move the load and put it in a screener. And it'll screen all the material that need this very small material that we don't want, like very small plastic and any material that's considered contaminant. And then from there it goes to what we call a picking station, where we have employees on either side of the picking station, and then that's what they do with the final cleaning operation, where they manually pick any material that just missed on the floor or on the screener. And lastly, after that, it goes to a grinder, and that's a final operation. It gets ground, and after it gets ground, it just put in the stockpile, and it's moved and delivered to the giveaway site for our resident to use.
Got it. Thank you for walking through that. And so how much mulch we have is dependent on how much green waste people are recycling.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, because I know sometimes there's been shortages that we've heard about. Was always wondering how that was driven, and it's all circular.
Yes, exactly, circular, absolutely.
If we do it right. Okay. I think that was incredibly helpful to hear from you. I think that, I know we mentioned this to the last, to Mr. Park for the Safe Centers, but you also have a facility in South LA, it sounds like, right? So that for public education and classes?
Yes.
Okay. So that might be something worth adding into the presentation for our CD8 town hall that we're having.
Okay, sure.
And it, I think, begs the question, as we're trying to figure out content that is most helpful to constituents. It might even be that we specifically ask bureaus is like, what are your public education programs? Because it seems like, we want these town halls to be as useful to them and help you all do the outreach that we all always talk to you all about doing. So just to make that connection, maybe if you can work with a LA Sound representative, whoever's going to do that presentation for our town hall in September, I think, or August.
September.
In September.
Yeah.
To include your programs.
Sure.
That would be great.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, Khalil, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
It's a great point, and that would be great. Commissioner Vegas, did you have anything?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentations. Good to see you. Enjoyed just learning and hearing. I think it's funny that Commissioner Calosa mentioned Dr. Williams, because I wrote his name on my notes. I thought about him too. I was just curious, just because I go to the free mulch that you have in Boyle Heights, just off of Mission. How often or when do those get filled? When does that one get filled?
We fill them twice a week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes what we do is it's something that we feel. It's I don't know if I want to call it good problem to have. We are struggling where sometime we have resident or maybe not resident. They wait until we drop the load, and they have like trucks. They come in and sometime and we can't we can't be there all the time. Sometimes they have a little loader too that they have in the back of their truck, and they take as much as they want, and then by the time other residents come in, it's empty. We get the calls, and we try to service as much as possible the location where it's very, very successful. So it's something that we're dealing with, we're trying to resolve.
Okay. That explains why it's always empty. I always thought, I'm like, I must just go on the wrong days. I just go with my bucket sometimes to pick up some mulch. Okay. That was just, I was curious just for my planting purposes in my house. But I took just a lot of notes on what you said and appreciate, you're going through everything that you've been able to do. And I just will note the farmers markets also collect food waste, correct?
Yes, well, just to give you what we're doing on that part, the farmers market is part of the recycler program. Their waste are collected by our recycler providers. We are doing an outreach to the small recycler provider that service the farmers market, and we are going, instead of taking it to a landfill, we are asking them to bring it to our Griffiths Park composting facility, and we are going to compost anything that is not, could be reusable or edible, that could be reused or given away. Anything that is not, and it's, instead of going to landfill, we are going to bring it to Griffiths Park and we're going to compost it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalil. My colleagues covered it quite well. Excellent report. Look forward to hearing more. Thanks for waiting or requesting the continuance, because it's good to see you in person and get the presentation in person. So it's good to see you, and thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Campos, have we cleared the decks?
Yes, you have.
All right, so this meeting is... Oh, Pepe. You want to come say hi?
Pepe, I had you on my list, but I didn't know if you had the additional part.
Good morning,
Hey.
President Good, Commissioner Caloza, Vice President Garcia, Commissioner Villegas. Yes, these are the reports for both the South and the Valley collection districts. I think they were part of the oral reports, Dr. Campos.
Yeah, they were. However, I did not receive any hard copies or any handouts.
So, my colleague, or there was going to be is absent, but he didn't send them through. So we haven't done it in person in a while, so I apologize for that. So to me, this is like a grand reopening. So thank you for inviting me to this reopening. So, but like Khalil said, it was kind of, and you mentioned when I first saw you, President Good, it's kind of nice to be back in person, getting dressed up, and actually driving down here was kind of deja vu, kind of. But like anything else, a lot of changes have happened and have occurred. And even stepping up to this podium, for myself for the first time, it was kind of a nervous event. So I would like to introduce two gentlemen that will be reporting on their respective districts. With your guidance, level of expectations, a little latitude, you'd be the first time at the podium. So with that, Mr. Pablo Serrano will be reporting on the Valley Collection Division.
All right, we're looking forward to this.
Good morning, Commissioners, President Good, Commissioners. Please forgive me for any lack of decorum. It is my first time up here. Pablo Serrano, Superintendent for the Solid Resources Valley Collection. I'm here to give you a very short report on our bulky item collection numbers. If I may, April, our numbers were at 82,721 calls that came in. We were at a 96.6% collection rate completion on those calls. For the month of May, we had 214,000 calls that came in with a 95.1% completion rate on those calls. And then for the month of June, we had 81,068 calls with a 95.4% completion rate on those calls as well. That pretty much does it for my report. It's very short. But is there anything the commission would like to hear on the next quarter's report?
Thanks, President Good. And I didn't catch your name. Could you say that again?
I'm sorry?
Oh, could you repeat your name? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Pablo Serrano.
Pablo Serrano. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we couldn't let you come up here for the first time and not ask you any questions, so just to give you an introduction. No, thank you for those numbers. That was really helpful, and it's great to see that the collection rate is so high. It sounds like it's like between 90 and 95%. I guess one question that I had is, what is your metric for a successful completion? Like, is there a 24-hour or 48-hour like turnaround time where you're comparing it against of what your internal metrics are or what's required?
We have a 24-hour turnaround for any complaints or miscollections that we have.
Okay.
The Bureau works really, really hard on making sure that customer service and customer satisfaction is up front and foremost, especially in our poor neighborhoods. I don't want to use the word poor, but our less disadvantaged neighborhoods. So we have outreach programs and stuff that we use to be able to inform the public of special events that we have, special collection cleanups. Just recently, in fact, this weekend we have a bulk item drop-off for residential drop-off at the yards. So the Bureau works really hard to make sure that we reach those completions, those obligations to the public. We constantly look at reports that would come back from all of our collection divisions across the board to see what numbers are, where can we improve our services at. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that was really helpful. So it's a 24-hour collection period, and then for any missed collections, what happens there? Do you all investigate that internally, or it gets flagged for?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. We're really, really adamant about making sure we get those complaints collected. A lot of them are just misinformation. One of the issues that we're still working on is like the app, the actual app that people report, bulky items on. The public may not be clear on exactly what the guidelines are, so sometimes we may need to use our support staff like LSD or another department to help get the complaint collected. So those are natural delays that happen due to just the nature of the program.
Thank you for that, and commend the bulky item program. I know it's an important part of our services, and it's hard to keep up, right, with everything that gets put out onto the streets. And I know that you all have a really advanced call center, and even the metrics that you all collect. I remember looking at your GIS mapping for and its connection to the 311 app, and it's pretty complex, more than I thought when I took a peek through the back door, if you will. So I just wanted to commend you all, and the call center operation that you all run is, I know, 24 hours, which is no easy feat. So
absolutely.
Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
And welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Serrano, first of all, congratulations. You did a really good job in presenting. You don't look nervous at all or anything. You just look like you've been doing this every day. So congratulations. Maybe outside you're de-stressed, right? But right now you look just fine.
Right, thank you.
Second, congratulations on everything you're doing. I'm also a big fan of your bulky item. I promote that as much as I can. And I want to see that more promotion of that bulky item drop-off. I think it's such an important and critical service that you provide to the community, and not a lot of folks utilize it or know about it. And so I know it's only open once a month, and I had talked to I think Pepe and the previous leadership as well about how can we increase that, because that seems to be one of the biggest issues that we have with illegal dumping, right? A lot of folks, either construction or they're in development or whatever it is, and they don't want to go pay that fee, right? And so they dump it in our streets. It's what I've at least learned throughout so much now. of being here on the board and working with sanitation. So I'm just wondering, you said what other things can you add to your report? Can you add your metrics on the bulky item drop-off days? And I know it's only once a month, but I would like to see how many folks take advantage of that. And on the flip side of that, how much outreach should we do around that? And should we increase it? Is Saturday a good day? Or maybe is it better to stay open later at night so folks, after they finish, doing construction, they can go dump? Those are things that I'm just really interested in diverting the illegal dumping that happens. And also, do we do outreach to construction sites and also folks that are remodeling their home because they hire contractors and, as a homeowner, you think they're going to go dump it to a place that they should, and a lot of times they end up dumping it in the streets and so forth. And so how can we tackle that issue is maybe something we should think about working on as well. There was one last thing. I think that covers my whole item around you, but I do want to hear more about your bulky item drop-off centers and more outreach around that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. Welcome to our board meeting. Thank you for your report.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Enjoyed listening just to the number of calls. I didn't realize how many there were. I know my household contributed to the June numbers. Having moved, we're still emptying out all kinds of stuff. So your staff is very efficient, and they came to my house within like 3 days. I will note also that I use 311 pretty regularly on my phone. As I'm sure that you noticed, there was an uptick in incidences with everybody walking their neighborhoods. So it's also very efficient because I would see crews coming out, and I would always stop and just thank them for listening and for doing it so quickly. Appreciate just my colleagues' questions also just on the additional outreach that can always help. I don't have any other comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice President Garcia?
Sorry, I do remember what it was. Does your department work any proactive approach? Because meaning like we clearly can see that shouldn't be on the street, and maybe there wasn't any calls. Do you guys just go ahead and pick it up, or is it really on a reactive basis?
No. We actually have a indexing program where we send out groups of individuals that canvass a neighborhood, and they report back with illegal dumping locations that may not have been reported through the original, either 311 app or the residents call it in, and those are put on a schedule to be collected as well.
Okay.
So we do neighborhood sweeps, and we get those locations serviced. Again, it depends on the material that's being collected. Construction materials and heavy, that would require heavy machinery goes to our support division, where our LSD groups will come in and get those remedied. But for the most part, we do an excellent job, in my opinion, in making sure that we do address those unserviced or unreported calls.
Okay, good to hear that. I wasn't sure if we did any proactive work that way, but
yes, we
good
do.
to hear that. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. One last question. I think another key metric on bulky items, actually, I guess it's on the residential side. It's pickup, percentage of on-time pickups for the first trash day after reporting. Correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I don't have anything else. Excellent report. Good job. Welcome to the board. And thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Pablo.
Excellent. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks. Keep up the great work. All right, Pepe.
So, I don't need to clean up the questions. We'll follow up with the next report on some of those. But Commissioner Venegas, on collection day, if your collection day is on Tuesday, if you're jumping over the material on Wednesday, it was probably unreported. Using the app is the best tool. So as you're walking up and down, you're walking your dog, and it's Thursday, and you see something, it was probably unreported. With that, I'm going to introduce Mr. Felix Sanchez, who will be reporting on the South Collection Division.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sanchez.
Good afternoon, President Good and Commissioners. My name is Felix Sanchez. I'm the Superintendent of the North Central District. I'm here to report the last quarter of tonnage stats for Alley Sand's 6 waste sheds. The average tonnage of combined material collected per day was 6,400 tons. Collected during the past quarter of April through July 2021 for all waste sheds was 239 tons in refuse with a daily average of 3,700 tons, 63,000 tons in green waste with a daily average of 1,000 tons, 102,000 tons in recycling with a daily average of 1,500 tons, 13,000 tons in bulky with a daily average of 200 tons. The struggles and challenges that we faced were obviously due to vacancies, due to retirements and absenteeism brought on by the pandemic, which required adjustments to minimize any delays in service. Increased tonnage due to current events, the pandemic, summer, and increased tonnage in recycling due to online shopping services. That is all that I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I'm able to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, folks? Commissioner Calosa?
Thank you for your report. I don't have any questions, but just wanted to give thanks to the LA Sand workers who really haven't gotten a break the past year. You know, they don't have the option to work from home or to work from their office, and they're out in the field. And so just wanted to express my thanks to them for working hard and keeping us safe and healthy, since what the work that you do contributes to our overall public health for our city. And just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Vice President Garcia.
Mr. Sanchez, right?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, is this your first time presenting at board?
Excuse me?
Is this your first time presenting at board?
It is, and I am quite nervous, I have to admit.
I just wanted to make sure. We gave him so much kudos. We want to make sure he gave you to. Well, you look good. You don't look nervous at all. You could have fooled me. But congratulations, you did a really good job as well. I mean, they're short presentations, but eventually, you know, we'll ask a lot of questions sometimes, and they can get pretty lengthy. But congratulations, you did a good job, and we look forward to seeing you in our board meetings more often now.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't have any questions either. Just thank you for your report and welcome to our board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ditto. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Pepe. Thank you, Pablo. Thanks for bringing in the new guys. We appreciate it. It's good to meet y'all. With that, decks are cleared. Dr. Campos?
I'm looking at Mr. Garcia. Yes, we are clear. This time for real. Yes,
All right.
the decks are clear.
Fantastic. This meeting is adjourned. Everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.